Alright, so let's go into a cube again. Again, these first few videos are all about learning the very basics, and I don't generally create a whole character to learn the basics. I always tell students to, make a cube, practice on that as far as using stamps and stencils and other brushes. Now, these three brushes right here, the smooth, grab, and pinch, do not function with stamps and stencils. Okay? They work just primarily on curved base. Grab is probably the #1 tool that you're going to be using for a long time. Yeah, you can basically shape out your mesh really quickly. And just so for here, for example, grab, I always kind of at the very beginning turn on wireframe, and then I always just turn on symmetry, and I always try to do X symmetry. So when you're in Maya, try to think about where X is. So grab, best friend ever. Now things like this will occur. Holding shift on any brush translates it over to smooth. So you can get nuts with the whole grabbing, and this will average out the vertices. Grab is great at lower levels, but at higher levels it sort of fails, and what happens is now that we have retopology tools, actually grab becomes useful. Okay, so there you can see that I can rough out a general shape of things, and that's all I really wanted to show you there. Alright, and retopology tools with grab. Let's say we did this. If I did a large change on a mesh with grab, like this, this would yield very pulled out polygons, and it's so far pulled out that you would never be able to create a normal map for that. Incidentally, see how it's always on an angle? So if you switch over to orthographics, it's a lot better. Still at an angle, but much better. Well, doing this, stretching out the polygons like that, used to be a huge problem back when. But now we can go into things like this, and we'll be using this over and over again. This is the retopologize feature. Okay, we're just going to stick to the defaults and hit retopo. Since this is not a very complex mesh, retopologizing it will take mere seconds. Larger ones, though, they can take hours, it feels like. And you can see just that one little change. Yeah, it's pretty lengthy time. Alright, now look at that. So the pulled out polygons now have straightened out. And topology has been built around that horn. Now the only bad thing is you couldn't get any lower than this unless you reduced it. So we'll be going into that. Grab tool, very effective at lower meshes, and now that we have retopologizing techniques, we can use it a lot at a higher level because we can just retopologize it in the end. So now pinch. Here's one of the things I always kind of do. Let's turn off wireframe. And let's take this sculpt brush. And I'll take this off actually because I can just use control. And I'll get a nice little thing going. So the strength is kind of high. Perfect. And now I want it really pointy. So I'll look at fall off. And I'll go with one of the fall off presets that I use all the time, this one. That one's making it a little weak, so I pump it up just a little bit more. Perfect. And now I can use control to dip into it. Alright, so what you can do here is create very intricate designs. Just like that. And when you go like this, pinch, you can reinforce those designs and make it a little bit more random. So the pinch rate and the strength on pinch is really kind of weak. You almost have to always kind of pump that up. This one also follows a curve. So if you had something like this, it's going to pinch a lot better and leave a dip. You see how it's got kind of a trench? If you had this one, it's going to be very sharp. Having the brush bigger to incorporate the whole entire area helps. Doing this method really does yield a very nice normal map. And that's kind of what I really aim for as far as like sculpting is concerned. You know, I always think about, well, you know, is that going to have a change on the mesh to the point where the normal map's going to look good? In this area it might not. So I smooth it and then repinch it. So smoothing, holding shift, allows you to smooth on any brush. Just make sure you go to the smooth tool, pump it up to 100 because it's very weak to begin with, and that way anytime that you're using it with any of the other brushes, it's always set to 100. So if I'm holding shift, it'll smooth. It's basically switching over to this brush to do that. Again, smooth is running on a curve system also. It's not very apparent, however. Basically, it smooths it towards the center out, and I've always found the default to be a very nice curve for that one. So this one right here. Alright, so let's pinch, grab, and smooth. Let's move on to the next video.